On this episode of the PR Bunker podcast, Don Martelli talks with Kirsten Milhorn, a first-grade teacher and founder of Sophie's Light Foundation. After her niece Sophie's disappearance, Kirsten turned heartbreak into a mission, teaching kids how to stay safe online. She and Don talk about the gap between the safety rules we teach children in real life and the ones they never learn online, and how age-appropriate education can change that. And here's your host, Don Martelli.
Welcome back down to the PR Bunker podcast. I'm your host, Don Martelli, CEO of the PR Bunker. Very special episode today. This is a story that you might have heard of or will be hearing about in some way, shape, or form. And the journey we're about to go down in the next 20, 30 minutes is going to be an emotional one that's, but also emotionally in a good way because there's a cause behind it. But Kirsten, thank you for joining me down in the PR Bunker podcast. I'm looking forward to telling your story, but welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, give us the setup. I don't want to unveil the story yet, but tell me, one, I know you're a teacher, and we'll get into that in a second. There's a connection to the story, but tell me about the organization you work for and give me the background.
Sure. So 2 months ago, I launched my nonprofit. It's called Sophie's Light Foundation, and I did it in honor of my niece. And the reason I did it is I want to educate kids about how to safely navigate being online. I think kids, we give them so much access every day. We all have digital access all day long. But I think, some kids are not ready for some of the material they see. I listened to something the other day and it really struck me. Like, we have so many limits in our physical world. Like, you have to be, 16 to drive a car. You have to be, I think, 18 to get cigarettes. There's so many restrictions. But then online, you get to see it all. They can see cigarettes and sex and drugs and violence and everything. It's all access all the time. And so I'm not saying take away computers. That's not what I'm here for. But kids are going to be online. So we need to educate them, and they need to know, hey, like, I don't think I should give that information out. They need to have the confidence to know, no, I'm not doing it. It's 5, 6 years old. They can absolutely say no. And they can be, we could give them the tools to know, like, if somebody's asking me my last name, that's not a good idea. But as adults, we know that. But 5 and 6 year olds, they don't know to not know that. So there has to be something in place to teach that. So as a teacher, I'm creating an online curriculum eventually to be embedded into schools because I think it's just as important as math and science and things like that.
Excellent. And Sophia, who's Sophia?
Sophie is my niece. I come from a big family, like we talked about. I have 6 older brothers, and she's one of my nieces. And
that's right. You're the youngest of 7, right?
I'm the youngest of 7.
And 6 boys. Holy smokes, you survived. Yeah, you're probably the boss too. That tells me you're probably the boss as well. Excellent.
It made me a tough cookie. And my mom said I'm a delicate flower. So no, but it definitely, it made me a little rough around the edges. No, I know what's right and wrong, and I will fight. I'll fight for my family. I'll fight for the kids in my class in a good way. Like, I'm not, not a boxer, but no. And when she was 15, she was talking to people online, doing things that teenagers do, looking for affirmation, looking for, you're pretty, like, positive feedback, like we all did at that age, right? But, back in the day when I was 15, like, I didn't go searching online for it. Like, you're interacting with your peers, you're doing different activities, and, you search for it different ways. But I think now that's how our culture and that's how teenagers are kind of trained to look for it. And if, like, oh, you like this guy, the whole world knows it. You know what I mean? And so there's nothing like, you can't even filter your feelings, but it's already out there. And so that's not something I can change. It's a reality. So I think even as teenagers, they need to know, like, if this guy is offering me money to play more games, is that cool? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, there's so much to keep up with. Even, like, schools are having a hard time keeping up with, like, accurate data, what should be banned, not be banned, they're doing their best. But I think, again, educating the kids is where where it has to start, in my opinion. And of course at home, because it will be hand in hand with, parents and guardians.
Sure, no doubt. How long has the organization been established?
So Sophie has been missing for 9 years. And on May 20th of this year is when I launched it. It happened to be her 9-year anniversary. It just happened to fall on that day. When I launched it, I spoke at a PTA meeting at my school. And then it has sort of snowballed since then. It was never my intention to like roll out this big nonprofit. And it's, of course I want to do it the right way. I want kids to be educated. I want to help kids. And so I want to do it the right way. I'm a teacher, and I feel like the way that I connect with kids is teaching them and like just being a kid with them. Like, hey buddy, like who are you talking to online? Like, well, first of all, we do morning meetings in first grade. We do like a greeting, a share, an activity. So the greeting, they would turn to each other like, oh, good morning, Miss Mill, or good morning, Bobby. And then he would say, good morning, Sue. But I want them to make eye contact because they're probably not used to that. So, and then they would do a share. Like I would say, would you rather be a bear or a donkey? I don't know. And then they give me a reason. And then they do a share, or I'll say like, hey, what's your favorite game? And if they say Roblox, and I'll be like, oh, like, do you ever talk to anybody on Roblox? Do you know those people that you're talking to? And it's just a conversation. It's like a conversation starter. And I'm like, oh, my friends, like, do you feel like we should share is it okay to share our first name, our middle name, and our last name? And then, no, of course, it's not. But they don't know what they don't know, right? How do they, we have a huge population, coming from other countries. And a lot of times parents feel like having their kids online, it's okay because they're making friends. And during the pandemic, like my son, was on Discord with his friends. And before I knew everything I know, like he was talking to his friends because I could see the string of kids. But I think that maybe escalated it a little bit or a lot. And parents just think it's their kids, their friends from school. And so it's a learning curve for all of us.
Yeah, sure. Now let's talk about the design of the curriculum. Clearly, as somebody who's an educator, you said first grade, right? So first grade kids?
I teach first grade. The goal is to have it from K all the way to 12th grade. And so it'd be like blocks, like K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12. Because we're talking about different topics. Like I said, for kindergartners, like I'm not going to talk about sextortion, right? But for kindergartners, we talk about online safety. Is it okay to turn your camera on when you're playing games? For a fifth grader, like what's fourth grade is like 10, 10, 11, yeah, 9, 10, 11. You're going to talking about like, what are some online risks? Because that's when they start getting curious. Like, do you have online friends? What does a safe online friend look like to you? Like, do you see them in person? Do you share the screen with them? It's just like basics. 6 to 8 years old, it's like, what are manipulation tactics that somebody might do online? Like, they might say, oh, can you keep a secret? Like, and like almost trick them into being their friend, trick them into doing something
Sure.
they shouldn't be doing.
Sure.
And then for high schoolers, it's a different ballgame. Like we're talking about potentially trafficking, sextortion, like, and then like leaving your digital footprint. Thank goodness, I have to say, like in college, there wasn't a huge digital footprint. I mean, you got to be so much more vigilant, right? You have to, if you're going to a party, hang out with a buddy that you 100% trust. And like whatever pictures you take, they're on there forever, forever. And that's a really hard concept for kids. It's a hard concept for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I wore that the other day. Can't be wearing that again, right? So imagine being kids. They're like, the world's safe. The world's my oyster. But no, it's not like, it's not. We have to have kids feel comfortable being online, but not online, like taking control of their lives, right?
Yeah.
So the curriculum will roll out age appropriately. Right now we're working on a pilot, and it'll be a 10-lesson pilot, like one lesson a week. Simple lessons, not a whole lot of material. I mean, for the teachers to learn, and it'll be age appropriate, something they can take home and start a conversation with their parents. Hey mom, do you know that I have this camera on my computer? Like, maybe they didn't know. So
Got it.
that's where it's,
So,
we're
so
working on it.
the hope would be that the curriculum it gets taught through the school system, and then teachers can carry that through, and or
Yes.
can it be directly accessed by? So, for example, if I had younger kids, so my kids are now older now, but if I was like, I'm sitting home with two young daughters, 5 and 8, something, would this be something I could also engage with on my own as a parent?
Yeah, that is the goal. And I know like NCMEC and I know some other organizations have like tips and some talking points. For a teacher, it would be for the younger grade, it will be like a slide deck because it'll be some interactive games. Like, you could give them, should you give it, like I said, give your whole name or your phone number online. It's like thumbs up or thumbs down. But for the older kids, it is going to be conversation starters with mom and dad. So yes, absolutely. It will be online. I put like a sample on my online under education. And, it takes time to get into a school system, even though I'm working in the school system. It takes time. Like it's not going to be like an hour block. In my mind, I imagine a half-hour block. And if that conversation goes longer, then it's needed, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
is our kids' safety more important, right? Once a week. And I think we talked about this last time we talked. It's like my first graders, when they hear the fire drill, they line up immediately. They're quiet. They get in line. Tornado drill, same thing. But I hand them a laptop and like they're like, oh, "Cool, man. Like, can we do anything?" I'm like, "No, you can't." So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
our
would say it's
schools,
almost
yeah.
as dangerous as handing them the keys to the car
Well,
without
this
them
is
learning how to drive.
right, and that's what it feels like, right? Like, would you ever give your kid keys to the car?
Nope.
No. Right. And so those are safety roadblocks. And so I feel like, you know, and that's education. We're educating someone on how to drive. Like this crazy puppy I have, he tore up our entire carpet, but it's my job he really did, but it's my job to train him like, hey, here's a chew toy instead of my carpet. So it's all about education. And like, I feel like for me, like, I have a personal connection to it, but I know we can make a change. I feel like we can make a change and at least, help one kid. It would,
Yeah.
make a difference.
Well, I mean, it's an incredible story. And I know you've talked a lot about other media outlets, focused on your niece's story and your story. I think the combination of you being a teacher, designing a curriculum is brilliant because you come from the classroom and you know how those kids learn and you know the techniques that's going to get them to stick. Pivot real quick, like, you can do a million things, right? I think teachers are probably one of those talented people in the world. Like, why do you continue to be a teacher after the years you've been doing it? What do you love about it?
I love the kids. I mean, I actually, with my team yesterday, we went to some apartments and we just had some new kindergartners enter. We know they're going to enter the school. And so we needed to just get their baseline, like a little data education, right? Like, where are they? I bet they can run a computer, but we're want to see if they can write their name. Can you do your ABCs, whatever? And it's like, God, those faces, like they come and they're so happy and they're like, and they just want to make me laugh and I want to make them laugh. And they're just fun and like, it's like a clean slate. They're unjaded. They're happy all the time. And it makes my day. It makes me happy.
Love it. No, I love that. I mean, now where do you hope the scale of the nonprofit goes? I mean, I know you're still kind of, this is fresh and you got the case and the family stuff, and that's a whole other side of the story here. But
Right.
like in a year or two, like what's your goal? Is it just to be in every school and across the United States? Is it a global thing? What's the kind of long-term vision?
That's a great question. I would like to start, with my own school system, Fairfax County. It would make sense to me, possibly in the spring, just to even get the pilot out there. But ideally, of course, across the country. And I know I had never thought about overseas. I mean, it makes sense, right? But I know some schools, like we do offer a couple of hours of digital literacy, but I think this is more about an education, like education, online education. It's it's not like, hey, this is where, you remember typing like on the computer, ASDF. It's like, it's more of like having your brain think about, oh my gosh, that's not a good choice. It's like a really interactive conversation with the kids. So
Love it. What's
ideally, yeah,
next?
the whole
Yeah,
world.
yeah. Like obviously, school's coming around the corner, so you'll be back in the classroom, girlfriend. Which I'm sure
Yes, I know, right?
you're holding on to summer like a fat kid at the buffet, right? You just don't want to leave, but
Trying,
you're
I'm
gonna be back
trying.
in. Yeah. So I mean, like, it's a big juggle. You got to juggle the
It is.
classroom, got to juggle this nonprofit. But like
Yes.
from a nonprofit perspective, what's next? Is there any events coming up? What's that look like?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking. So in October, I am partnering with a couple of members of the school board here in Fairfax County, and we are going to have like a online safety night, like a community night. So we're going to invite parents, students. I have representative from the FBI locally and Fairfax County Police Department, and Nick Mick, of course, amazing organization, and a member from BARC is just like the monitoring app, and a member of the school board. And it's going to be nonpartisan. This is just a community conversation, really, about like, so the parents will be in one room talking with, officials, I guess, about what it's like. This is what's happening in your community. These are the numbers. Like if your kid's on Roblox, if your kid's on whatever gaming app, these are the stats in our area. These are the stats nationwide. And then as teachers, like if I taught like K through 2, I would run through one of the lessons from the pilot program. Yeah. So it's an educational night, fun night. Like it's totally like a laid back night. And it's tentatively scheduled for the end of October, but it'll be in the Fairfax County School.
Got it.
So,
Awesome. Now,
yeah.
would you ever, I'm sure you love being in the classroom and that draw is really important. Would you ever consider like running the nonprofit full time at some point?
Yeah, you're like putting me on the spot here, huh?
Well, I guess my the way I would PR this would be, even if you're running a nonprofit, you're still educating. You're still an educator. You might not be in the classroom. Now your classroom is the world, right? Which is a bigger impact.
That's very true. Yeah, I would consider it.
There's a little spin. We can spin everything.
Okay, this is true. I do love the kids. I feel like if I could do some events somehow and stay connected, like, because they're just, they're so fun and they absorb everything so fast. And I, I do talk about it obviously in my classroom and briefly, and they do talk to their parents like they're sponges. I would consider it. It has picked up a lot of steam quicker than I thought. I didn't intend on it, which of course I'm grateful for. So yeah, that's an option.
Yeah, it's
You'll be in my
like
corner,
I said,
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the story is very unique, right? And unfortunately, situations such as the underbelly of this entire conversation here is a daily thing.
Right.
It's a daily occurrence, and when it comes to the safety of our kids, it should never ever ever be politicized in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
Right? It's about kids' safety, and I think you're right. We have, if I wanted to, in 5 minutes, I can have Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, and a new phone delivered to my house.
Yes.
Right. So the accessibility is great, but it's also like the danger that we live in every single day. And and I'm sure, like, I said that when you and I first met, I said one of the biggest like aha moments I had with my kids early on was when my youngest daughter was in one of the little booster seats at we were dinner one night, and she's playing with the menu and she's swiping at the menu like it's an iPad, and I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I shouldn't give her the iPad that kind of early. And so then we realize, okay, you kind of lock things down. And as a parent, you'll do anything for your kids, right? I will run through a brick wall, jump off a bridge, whatever I got to do, right? Lay myself down for them. And I commend you for shepherding all. You've been a teacher for a little bit, right? So you've got kids whose lives you've already impacted, and this is such an incredible story, which is why I think it's picked up steam, because it's a heartfelt thing. It's important. You're personally connected to it, and you're a teacher. It has all the right elements for a good news story. But beneath the news is really, somebody who has a heart and wants to, who gives a shit and wants to make a change, which I think is fantastic.
Thank you.
Where can people get involved with their time, their talent, and their treasure?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So my website is sophieslight.org. And there are, of course, a bunch of ways you can get involved. People have reached out to me, like the FBI locally. And it's just amazing, like, that people do want to help. Of course, your time is precious and valuable, and that would mean a lot to me. I've made a ton of connections like you, and just so many people that do care, and it really does mean a lot. And, even the media, it's amazing how much the media in a good way can help and can spread a good message about keeping our kids safe. There is, of course, a donate button. That would be amazing if you are willing.
Big old donate button on that page. Click that bad boy. Keep clicking it.
As a nonprofit, and your friend Dan will tell you, I don't ask. It's hard for me to. It's my Catholic school, so But it is needed. I have, a small team of people working on the curriculum, including myself. And, it takes time, but also I have some great people in my corner. My advisory board have been just like incredible human beings. It's a reporter is on my advisory board because I'm 100% sure she knows more about Sophie's case than I do. She's from South Florida. Ironically, her daughter and Sophie went to preschool together. Like, it gives me chills thinking about it, but she's become a good friend. Like, she cares, right? And it's not about the clicks and the likes and all that. It's not about that. Cause I'll say, I don't think I'm ready to share that. She won't. It's not like the Inquirer, it's like real people doing good things. And NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, amazing organization. And I feel like, they don't do curriculum. They do everything else. So all the curriculum, I should say, is going to come from legitimate data from NCMEC. I don't have the brain capacity to come up with numbers by myself. Like it's data that's out there, and it's data that parents need to see. So, if you have a second, Sophie's story's on there, all the articles about her, and there's been some podcasts, which are super interesting because it also deep dives into like the Florida foster care system. But Sophie was never in foster care, but it's an interesting connection.
Yeah,
that
dynamic.
you'll see.
Yeah, for sure. So give me the website address one more time.
It is sophieslight.org.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So thank you for being in the classroom, because teachers are the salt of the earth. I'm sure that your family is, as the youngest boss in the family, is taking control of this story and trying to drive it and not just get, finality and some sort of resolution for your family, but to think of other kids in that particular way. I think it's such an incredible thing. And I'm surprised your heart's not busting out of your seats at this point, because this is a heartfelt kind of mission. So thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Good luck to you and the family, and with this curriculum, which I think is going to be kick ass. And whatever we can do here at the PR Bunker, and whoever else is out there listening to this, watching this, get your ass over to sophieslight.org. Hit that donate button. Get in there. I don't care if it's $1 or a time, or if you got a podcast you want to tell the story. Everything will help to help the family and tell Sophie's beautiful story and get the family some help and support this organization, because God knows what other kids down the line are susceptible to this sort of stuff. Every single day there's some stuff going on that we as a society need to make sure that we protect our children so they can have better lives than we've ever had. So
absolutely.
Keep grinding, my friend. If we can ever help in some way, shape, or form, let us know. Sophieslight.org. One more time, hit that donation button. Keep going. Good luck with the start of class. Enjoy the kids. Right? We'll talk very soon. So thanks for joining the PR Bunker.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
That's the PR Bunker podcast, hosted by Don Martelli. Here's the thesis. Reputation is the operating system for your business. It's the one asset that works while you sleep. When you need to defend it, repair it, or build it, start at prbunker.com. And for a sharper way to build the relationships that actually get you to yes, subscribe to the Anti-Networking Playbook on Substack. New every week. When reputation decides the outcome, be ready. We'll see you next time, and remember, stay locked in.